Hello there, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here on another Facebook Live and YouTube Live with Altenew. My name is Rzasa, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew. And every week I host a new challenge on Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And it is all to get you out of your creative comfort zone, but also to get you to create, because I know firsthand that life can get in the way, and sometimes you have all great intentions and you want to take some time for yourself to create, and then other things happen. So even just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, it's even better. Find some time for yourself during the week to get into your comfies and get to your creative zone, and in whatever space that might be, whether you have a craft room or your dining room table or a spot in the living room or your bedroom, wherever that happens to be, find time to get creative. So we have a new challenge this week. And of course, as always, I'm going to be announcing the winner from last week's challenge. I also want to say hello to everybody who's here in the chat. So we've got Nancy, Judy, Laura, hello to Polly, Amy. Also, Mitzi is behind the badge at Altenew. She says, let's wait for Jen a bit. I think it's because I was a couple of minutes late. Sorry about that. I see that Kim is here and many more. And if you are here and you share this video while we're live, the live stream, then you are you are entered to win. You know, you combine the words win and entered, you get wintered. You are entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store, but you do need to let us know. So pop a comment saying, I did share this video, and it does have to be when we are live. So I will be signing off within the next 55 minutes. So you've got that much time to go ahead and share us and let us know that you did that so you can enter to win. The other way to win is by playing along. So our challenge last week was a tricky one, I think, for some of you. But it was a lot of fun, and it was all about mixing patterns and prints. So we had the Pattern Clash challenge, and I will show you what I created. Also, I think my mouse is running out of battery, or I'm running out of charge. I will have to charge this soon. Good thing I've got a touch screen so I can touch what I need to touch. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm like running off screen, just so I can grab my touch screen. Okay, so this was what I created. So we talked a lot last week about how you can mix prints and mix patterns and not have it be in like a visually overstimulating way. Now, if your goal was visually overstimulating, have at it, right? Do whatever you want. There are no rules. But if you want to keep to more of, I don't want to say aesthetically pleasing, because I think sometimes those wild patterns and prints that clash are also aesthetically pleasing, but just giving your eye to rest, look cohesive. We talked about using texture. So I did use an embossing folder to create that background. We talked about scale. So this is a smaller scale. Also, my stripes were a smaller scale. My flowers were a larger scale. And we talked about color. So I did choose some complementary colors. They don't have to match. I did not choose colors that matched my flowers. Okay. I just chose colors that went along with it. So I had some like purpley, pink, and yellowish tan hues. So I went with pink and purple and tan for my stripes. And although it doesn't match, they're in the same color zone, same color families. So it kind of keeps it looking cohesive. So that was my creation. And yeah, I finished a card during a live stream. How often does that happen? Very rarely. And because of that, I do give you guys the same leniency that if you don't finish your project, you can still submit a work in progress as long as it fulfills the challenge theme. And when you share your project, please use our hashtag, which is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. That's how we'll be able to find it. All right, so now let me lean over so I can use my touch screen. Oh, I need a freshly charged mouse. I'm so not used to using the touchscreen as my primary mouse. Okay, so we had some really fantastic submissions, and we can give a little drum roll without further ado. Here is the winner, and it is Sarah Bridell. So congratulations to Sarah. Let me do a little zoom in here if I can, It's showing up quite small. Are we seeing that larger? I think so. Okay. So she used different textures, so like just kind of what we talked about. I see different scales of patterns. We've got some stripes in the background. We've got the texture from the embossing, and we have the print on the couch. So I thought that was really pretty. I loved everything that she did on the project, and you are the winner. So congratulations. I will stop sharing that. Why do I always seem to have some kind of minor thing that goes wrong with my technology? This mouse dying is just getting me. It's like popping in and out. Like it'll sometimes move and then it stops because it's near the end of its battery. All right, so congrats again to Sarah. You did a really amazing job, and you are the winner of a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. So please reach out to us at support@altenew.com. Let us know that you are the winner of the challenge, and we will get that prize right out to you. And yes, you've got plenty of congrats in the comments. Geraldine says, Mitzi is one of the best behind the badgers. I love that you say behind the badgers because it sounds like an animal, the badger, but like the ones who are behind the badge are the behind the badgers, right? Of course. Yes, everyone I think does a great job. And I love that I don't have to find the links and send them into the chat, that we've got backup and Mitzi is there for me today. So thank you. Thank you. All right, so today we are doing a brand new challenge, and we've got the Geometric Genius today. I am a huge fan of geometry. I'm a huge fan of shapes, of repeating patterns. I love having some kind of like form and function, linear form. It just makes me happy, right? But since this is a geometric challenge, you can interpret it that way, or you can incorporate it in some other way. It does not have to be cohesive, linear, structured. But I do want there to be some kind of geometric element to your project. You don't have to create a card. I'm doing a card. What else is new? But you can create any project that you'd like as long as it fulfills that challenge prompt. And if you play along this week, please use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. Let me pop you down and I'll show you what I grabbed. I grabbed an old set. Very, very old set. Just you wait and see. It is so old that I don't even have packaging. It is so old. My stamps are yellow, green, brown, all sorts of colors in between. It is so old that I think this was part of one of our first releases. We launched in 2014. This goes back to 2014. This is our Simple Shapes set. And I did check, and it is still available. And I'm sure the reason why we haven't retired it is because it is just so versatile. So we have all these different shapes. We have a combination of outlines and we have solid fill. So every shape has an outline and a solid. I know it's hard to see because there's no acetate here. This was potentially even a manufacturer's sample, which is why I don't have the acetate on it. And I don't even have an acetate back. It's like this little tiny piece of plastic. Okay, this is my well-loved old school favorite Simple Shapes. But I absolutely love this. There's so many ways that you can unlock the geometric genius of this set. Look around in your stash. I'm sure you can find dies, stamps, even stencils. I pulled out some of my favorite old stencils too, and I checked, and these are discontinued. We do retire sets typically when they've been out for a while, just to make room. You know, we've got to leave room in the warehouse for more and newer things. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with the old ones. It just means that we've got newer things in our mind and we want space to stash them and to be able to sell them. So these are retired, maybe not the plaid builder, the buffalo plaid builder, but it's possible it is. But these were some of the other ones I was thinking of. I won't use them today because they are retired, but I will show you them because I think it might help to get you thinking about some of the other geometric products that you might have in your stash. So the Diamond Builder stencil is just a single stencil. And the way you create an overall pattern is by stenciling through, and you can flip and rotate position until you create an overall background pattern. You can do 2 of the layers, 3 of the layers, all 4 layers just by using that one stencil. The illusion hexagon, you can see it looks like hexagons, even though it is just a collection of stripes right here. So this is a way that you can use shape and geometry. The Geo Triangles is a stencil set. It also coordinates with a folder that we had released. And there are different stencils here that get inked or inked and flipped. And then the Buffalo Plaid Builder, you might not think of plaid as a geometric pattern, but it certainly is. And this one helps you to create a plaid that does look like woven. Please focus. There we go. That looks like it could be woven fabric because of those stripes. So I won't be using these as they are not currently available in the Altenew store. But look at products you have from Altenew, from any company. You can create your own geometry with a marker and a ruler, or you can use dies. There are so many ways that you can interpret this one using different geometric shapes and patterns. So I think there's a lot of ways that this could go. I hope a lot of you choose to play along and definitely use that hashtag, which is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. All right, let's get started with this. By the way, the shapes in Simple Shapes include the tangram shapes. If you guys know those tangram puzzles, you can create any of the tangram puzzle like animals or things like a boat or whatever. If you look that up, tangram puzzles, they'll show you all these different things that you can do with tangram shapes, and these triangles and the parallelograms are scaled to be the same as tangrams. So that also is another way that you can use this set. And I keep flip-flopping on whether or not I want to use the stamp wheel to do my stamping, which is a go-to, obviously, for me, or use my light box and my sticky mat, which I think that's what I'm going to do. This is the Slim Grip sticky mat, and there are a lot of ways you can use it. You can use this in the stamp wheel, and you would place this in the bottom, and you can use like mounted stamps. So instead of just the clear stamps, you can do the ones that are foam mounted. I don't know, cling stamps. There we go. That was the word that was escaping me. You can use cling stamps, but I had come up with this other way of using it where I peel off, I adhere my cardstock just like this. We've got the alignment guides and everything. And I think this might help me create a pattern, because once I turn on the light of my tracing box, the light box, you can see that grid. And I think this is going to help me as I create a pattern. I have not really thought about what the pattern's going to be, how it's going to go, what colors we're going to use. As always, I just wing it as we go through, and you guys help me make choices along the way. So let's go with that. Let's go with this. And I might need to do some double stamping, because I'll take out my acrylic block. If you do this technique, this does not happen in the stamp wheel or any other stamp positioner. So you do need to pull out a trusty acrylic block. And I am going to start with a triangle. Let's start somewhere. I don't know. Let's start right here. Okay, so I can see right through that. And I don't want this shifting. So I'm going to take some tape, satin masking tape. And I'm just going to tape that down so it doesn't move as I'm stamping. And I might use another old tool. It's not an Altenew tool, but it's from my early days of stamping. It is the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. And sometimes that's helpful if you need to double stamp and you're not in a stamp positioner. Maybe you don't have a stamp positioner yet. Maybe you haven't invested in the stamp wheel. Even though I do think if that's something you do a lot of, stamping, it is great to have a stamp wheel. And now my big, ugly, dirty block right here. And now we can get to stamping. So I love that I can see right through to that grid. So I know that I am stamping this straight on. And I'm thinking for the colors, let's do like some cool springtime Not cool as in like cool toned, but let's do some pretty springtime colors. So I'm going to take pool and parrot. And I'm just looking behind me and just taking what's calling out to me. Warm sunshine. That looks nice. Maybe coral berry. That looks like spring, now doesn't it? Maybe one more. Let's go with lavender fields. So it's kind of like a rainbow moment happening. Kristen, thank you for sharing. And Carrie, thank you for sharing. And she says, please don't enter me in the drawing for the gift card as I've been blessed to receive several already. That is so, so sweet. That's really, really kind of you to pass that along to someone else. I really appreciate it, Carrie. Okay. In the product listing for this Simple Shapes set, you can see some examples that the design team has made using this way back in the day. And I think I might use one of the card samples there as inspiration, focusing what I'm doing with this tiny triangle and then one or two of the parallelograms. But I will just see if I can create this a little organically too. All right, so let's just jump right in. And if you are just joining us today, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. We are doing a Geometric Genius challenge today. And because of the Geometric Genius, I chose to pick an old school set, which is the Simple Shapes. I might need to condition this, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's place that right here. And you'll see why now I can use my little Stamp-A-Majig. Just place that into position and it holds where I was. I may double stamp that. Okay. One down, a million to go. If we get bored of watching this pattern come to life, I can also pivot and we can work on something else. But there's something so calm and relaxing about just building a pattern from the ground up over here. Okay, we've got pool. So let's go there. And I think I'm going to back this one up to the edge of the purple one. Okay, don't need to double stamp there. I think we're good. I think I just needed to like get this inked up. It's been a while since I've used it. And now I will pull like a little, should we do the parallelogram? I'm not sure. I'm just going to keep going with different size triangles and shapes. I was going to look at one on the website as reference, but I'm realizing without use of my mouse, I cannot easily switch over to that tab to look. So we are just going to create different shapes and make a pretty background. How's that sound? All right, now as I am doing this, I would love for you to hop into the chat and let me know if you are a fan of geometric patterns and if you like to create your own patterns when stamping like I'm doing here. The stamp wheel is another great product to have if you are doing a geometric background or geometric pattern, because the stamp wheel allows you to create one stamp in a circular fashion for rotational stamping. And I think that is such a beautiful way to incorporate some different geometric elements into your projects. All right, so let's go. I love the colors so far. I love how the grid is shining through here. And I'm thinking the best way so that we're not just spending forever is I'm just going to hop around and stamp some random triangles just for this one, because I keep thinking of how long this is going to take and how you guys are watching live. And I don't want this to just be a real snooze fest of watching me stamp triangles all over the place. So We're just going to go around and about. Oh, that's so pretty. What a great color. Okay. Coral berry looking great. Nancy says she loves geometric everything. Judy likes using stencils. And Tony says it reminds me of making quilts. We do have some quilt inspired products. And maybe Mitzi can pop some links down. I love, there is a quilt block stencil set. That would have been a great one for me to pull out for this challenge, just because it is so easy to create different geometric patterns that really look like quilt blocks. They were inspired by actual quilt blocks. Okay, we got some warm sunshine happening here. Okay, this is where my mind is going to go crazy. Where should I put this next triangle? Right here. Ooh, let me stamp that one more time. Not a fan how that sunshine came out. I didn't even use my stamp positioner here, but I can see right through where that needs to go. So this geometric genius, I know that I tend to go for geometric shapes when I have to create a masculine card. That's a bit of a go-to for me. I know that guys are okay with flowers, right? There really shouldn't be any rules, but if you have a man that you need to create a card for, like a teen, geometry is the way to go, because anybody likes it. Man, woman, child, someone who is elderly, someone who is 5 years old. Like, can't you see this being a 5-year-old card? This looks like little toys that a kid would play with. Right, little tiny shapes. Let me mount this to the other side so that I don't have to keep flipping and remounting. Work smarter, not harder, right? Okay, so yes, thank you for putting that in there, the Quilt Block Builder Stencil Set. Thank you, Mitzi. Okay, we're going back into the pool ink. And the big thing is, once I create this pattern, what am I going to do with it? Because there are a lot of ways that we could go with finishing off this card. And even though I'm using geometric shapes, I'm not making a repeatable pattern. This is not something that's going to be symmetrical. I'm just looking at what I feel looks good with where these shapes belong. And I'm leaving white space in between. I like seeing the white space and how it plays. If you guys have been to my lives before, I don't stop talking about white space. I love white space. Dawn, thank you so much for sharing. I love that. I appreciate it. Let's think my purple here is a little less juicy, so I might need to bring back that Stamp-A-Majig just for extra insurance. A little extra stamping here. And we continue to go around. Okay, so I am going to keep working on this, and I'm thinking I might need something bold for my greeting, right? We've got a lot of boldness happening in the background, and I think if I just put a teeny tiny little small sentiment or like a sentiment strip, it's not going to have the same impact that I want from it might compete too much, or this might compete too much with a small greeting. Elena says, I'm so glad you're using a stamp positioner. I had one for years and never knew how to use it. And I have to say, Alana, this is not actually the proper way to use it. So this is such an old tool because this goes back to the wood-mounted stamp days when you would have a wood block and the rubber stamp would be adhered to that wood block and you couldn't see through it. So when people started to want to do more precise stamping and gosh, if you guys think back to those old days with the woodblock stamps, how many times did you get a woodblock stamp and it has the image on top, like the little sticker that shows what it is, right? Let's say it's a dog stamp, right? And the dog is straight up and down, and you flip it over and the dog is like crooked and it doesn't line up with the top. So you might think you're stamping it straight because your block is straight. And then you lift it up and the whole thing is crooked just because that rubber piece wasn't mounted straight at all. So it was very infuriating. And this was a clever little tool, and it came with an acetate sheet. I don't know if it was like a square or whatever, but it was like some kind of acetate. And what you would do is stamp into the corner with your wood-mounted stamp onto that acetate. And yeah, maybe your dog will be crooked, and that's fine, because then you take the acetate and position it where you want it. So it's like, okay, now the dog is straight. And then you put your little block here. You remove the acetate and then you stamp and then you lift it up and then your dog is straight, just the way you wanted. So that's how you use this. But this is how I use it, is for double stamping if I need to. Okay, we're going back into the lovely parrot. I hope all of that made sense. Yeah, Tony says those were the days. Thank goodness for the positioner. Don't you love how the industry has just gotten better and better and better with every new release, every new product? And it keeps us, like Altenew, on our toes, because we are also always thinking, how can we improve upon what is already out there? We are all creators, right? On the team, the product development team and the product designers, we are all stampers. We all do this. So we usually end up creating new products and solutions based on things we encounter ourselves. And it's like, oh, you know, I always wish that there was a way to make wreath stamping easier, right? And that's part of how Tasneem ended up creating the stamp wheel, is because it solved a problem, right? We had other stamp positioners out on the market. I'm sure you guys know of a bunch of different brands that have stamp positioners, and none of them solved that problem, right? They solve different problems, but not that problem. So that's how we create new things, is by solving problems. So I love how the stamp world has evolved from those early days with the woodblock stamp, with the crooked dog, right? All of that, all of the above, to then having a positioner like this, like the Stamp-A-Majig, to then companies coming out with like the hinged stamp positioner, then Altenew coming out with the, which I think is such an improvement because it does so much, right? The stamp wheel. It does the double stamping. It does the rotational stamping. The grid mat, the sticky mat will help you with stenciling. And I'm sure there's something new that we haven't thought of yet, or some other company hasn't thought of yet, that's also going to propel the industry forward and help solve new problems. Guys, you get me talking about products, I'll just keep going. These are all the things that we think about as we design, as we create new product lines, all of the above. And I am just loving that I can see through to this grid, because it makes me not fearful that I'm stamping crooked. I know that all of these triangles are correct. Let me read some of your comments here, because you guys have such insightful things to say and to share about what we're already talking about. So, Laura says, I don't know how you older makers worked without a stamp positioner. I agree. I don't know either, because when I started stamping, which was around 2005, 2006, stamp positioners were already a thing. So we had these at our disposal. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide which way to put this. Like there's going to be two coral berries near each other. I think that's fine. Okay. But yeah, we had tools like the Stamp-A-Majig. So I'm not familiar with the older days of crafting. How did people manage to find ways to stamp straight without the use of a positioner? Maybe they made them themselves, right? You just kind of whip something up at home. I know people used to make stuff like this with Legos, like a DIY. I remember seeing online, someone literally had like stacks of Lego blocks into like a T shape. And they said, this is what I use to keep my stamp straight. Let me see what else. Jean says she's made Cricut images. Alana said, what I've observed when I first started using stencil alone, it seemed off without using an inked stamp. Now it's frequently done that way. It seemed off without using an inked stamp. I'm not sure if I know, Alana, what you mean. If you could clarify, that would be great. Amy says, have you seen the new Sizzix Catherine Pooler tool for making pattern paper? No, I would have to check that out. So I could tell you guys, you probably knew I used to be pretty much full-time at Altenew. I have always worked 2 jobs. So working for Altenew has always been a passion. And I'm also a music teacher, which has also always been a passion of mine. And when I had a baby not last year, sorry. Wow, that's crazy. It feels like it was only last year. When I had a baby in 2024, I had to take time off of work, and that was both jobs, both of my works. So let me stamp this again. I completely went on maternity leave from teaching, and I pared down my hours at Altenew. And since then, I have not gone back to my full-time Altenew hours. So I feel like I need you guys. Sorry, I keep stamping this. I'm just mad that I didn't use this when I was stamping it because there's like one side that's wrong. I think it'll be okay. But yeah, so I am not like 100% in all of the new products and aware of everything that's coming out. So no, I have not seen the new Sizzix Catherine Pooler tool, Amy, and I can't wait to check it out now. That's going to be something I do when I sign off today, is I'll be looking at that. And that is also why I love doing this challenge every week, because I don't often have the time I want to create. And I just love having this dedicated time every week to be able to create. I'm loving where this pattern is going, like geometric all over, and without it having to be a repeatable, like symmetrical pattern. I'm enjoying this. Okay, that was just Parrot. I'm using the same colors. So if you're joining late, let me just give you another rundown of the pick colors I picked. Parrot, Lavender Fields, Warm Sunshine, Coralberry, and Pool, because I wanted this to be fun and springy. Sue was saying, good to hear about the products and how they came about. I remember way back when, since I have been stamping since the mid-90s. Yeah, so Sue, you have been stamping more than I have, about a decade more. So you probably do remember the early days before we even had a stamp positioner tool like this. Oh, hi, Ciamara, coming in late. All right, Geraldine says, I gave most of my old wood stamps to a local daycare. They are loving them, and I no longer liked using them, so I cleared some space. Win-win. I also donated all of my rubber stamps. Mine I actually donated to the school where I work because I figured the art teacher can use them with the students. So that's also a win-win. The students that I teach got to benefit from having those stamps. Okay, let's see. Alana says, I had the Altenew tulip stencil set and no stamp. Oh, okay, got it. And I was used to stamping and having the black tulip stamp to then stencil. I see what you mean. So the coordinating stamps and stencil combos. That makes sense. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. A.G. Oliver says, I love your free range stamping. Yeah, this is just coming together organically. You wouldn't believe I've been at it for 30 minutes. It looks like I spent 5 minutes stamping. This is what happens when we spend all of our time chatting. And I'm just using 2 sizes of triangles. Guys, this is how you can unlock your stamps, your dies, anything you have. Find some unassuming stamp. In this case, I would love you to find something geometric so that you can join our challenge. Use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. But it could be anything. Find something in your collection and just keep repeating it over and over again. Stamp, 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 twist, twist, turn, new color, stamp again. Oh, look, I finally put the positioner in place and then I don't need to restamp it. Yet I had to stamp this one 3 times by hand. Are you guys tired of looking at me stamp triangles yet? Because I only have a little bit more to go, and then we're going to finish up this card. I think the clean and simple route is the way this is headed. 1 layer. Maybe I'll pop up the sentiment, but this is me, you guys. This is where I'm happiest. Judy says, I don't have the patience to do that random stamping. So you've got to put on a show. That's the way you do it, is you get your iPad or you get your phone or you put on a podcast or you put the TV on and then you just stamp, stamp, stamp. And that's how this comes together. But this is how I'm choosing to do it. Remember, the theme this week is just geometric genius. You can incorporate geometry any way you choose. If you have a geometric background stencil, I did share some examples earlier. You could get a nice big ink blending brush over the whole thing, peel it off, boom, that took 2 seconds, and you have a geometric background. You can incorporate geometry by maybe having some circles, die cut a whole bunch of circles. I know a lot of you probably have nesting circles dies. If you don't, look and see what else you have. But yeah, you can make a whole bunch of circles and arrange them. So many ways to incorporate geometry. And remember, this is from the Simple Shapes set, but we have so many different sets that incorporate geometric shapes. And I'm sure in your collection, you can find at least something, even if it's 1 little stamp, or even if you have to like pull out a marker, pull out a ruler and make a background, make some lines. Guys, lines are geometry. Get some stripes. There are so many ways to do this. So many ways that you can create some pattern and geometry into your project. I think we need some more blue up here. Some of that pool. So pretty. Such a pretty color. All right, going in with the small triangle now. I think what's really helping this design come together is the fact that all of them are aligned on the horizontal and vertical planes. If they were just kind of like twisting around floating shapes, I think we'd have a bit of a, what is it, Saved by the Bell situation. You guys know in the beginning of Saved by the Bell, like when I wake up in the morning, and it's like all these triangles floating by. It was very 90s, very, very 90s. I think this is feeling very 90s. Maybe that makes sense because we keep talking about old school stamping techniques. Well, let's do another. I think we need another pool triangle up here. I think that's where I'm headed, is some kind of 90s look. If you need inspiration, look up product pages for these products. If you need inspiration, you can look up geometric patterns on Google or Pinterest. All right, let's see what other comments. Geraldine says, when I got my first Altenew vintage roses in 2014, I didn't have my Misty yet. I was free range creative stamping for me back then too. Now it's 2 Misties and 2 stamp wheels. Spoiled. You are spoiled. Way to go. You know you're like hardcore into stamping when you have 4 stamp positioning tools. That's the way to do it, you guys. Of course not. You can get by with 1 or none, right? You don't need a stamp positioner to get by, but it does certainly make things easier. I think this purple tiny triangle is just not cooperating with me today, because for some reason when I stamp the big triangles that are purple, I'm absolutely fine. And then I try to do the tiny ones and they end up looking weird. All right, come on back, Stamp-A-Majig. Come on back. No, that's a mess. Okay. We'll cover it up later with something else. We'll put some we'll put some enamel dots. Hey guys, enamel dots are circles. That's a shape. We also have the little stars in there. Okay, let's see what Sue has to say. She's sure she has wood mountain stamps that would be considered geometric. I'll have to go down the cellar and look at my wood mountain stamps. And Amy says, my mind likes a pattern with purpose more than random. Yeah, this is feeling very random for me too, but I was going to reference some of the patterns from the product page for the Simple Shape stamp set, and my mouse is dying and I can't easily flip between my live stream tab and that tab. So that's how we ended up going rogue here, free stamping. And Laura says, I need to get out of my floral safe space and branch out. Yes. Almost all the products you have from Altenew are floral. Well, that's actually easy to do because most of the products we sell are floral. I would say second to floral and sentiments might be geometric. We have crunched these numbers before. On the product development team, I think it was like maybe 2 years ago, possibly. We took inventory of all of the categories that we have, all of the products among different product types. So not just considering stamps or stencils, but also dies and hot foil plates and all of the above, press plates. And we figured out how many of each category we had. And then when we had a team-wide meeting, we do like these monthly team-wide meetings, but we also get together yearly as like a kind of like a company retreat. We created like a game show type thing, and we had to have all of the employees guess how many products we had in these categories. And it was really fun. And it was eye-opening. And of course, since then, because that was a couple of years ago, since then, the number of products has definitely changed. But I'd be curious to know if we still have as many geometric. Because, yeah, floral, hands down the most. Hands down, without a doubt. As I'm stamping some of this, it kind of looks like, is it like nautical flags? I don't know much about them or what they mean. Hopefully one of you guys knows what I'm talking about. But this, having these two triangles like pointing together, that made me think of like a nautical flag. If you could explain to me in the comments what those are or what I might be thinking of or why, please let me know. Judy says, I have about a half a dozen that isn't floral, but flowers are involved. That's great. Yeah, we love flowers at Altenew, but we also love other things. We branch out, right? Periodically. Hey, this is almost done, but also the live stream is almost done. And wouldn't it be a shame if all we did was chat and stamp triangles? But that might be where this is headed today. Jean is saying that's looking so cool. Thank you, Jean. I feel like I need to have kind of more over the edge here because it feels very flat down at the bottom. Let's pop some more in at the bottom, and then we will be wrapping this up. I do love it though. And every time I stamp this pool, my heart gets so happy. Okay, I have a strange question, but it does tie in to the Geometric Genius Challenge. Do any of you have a favorite shape? And I'm going to leave this super open-ended. Like, I don't just mean your favorite shape for stamping or die cutting. Just like, do you have a favorite shape and why? Because I kind of love a triangle. And I don't think I realized I had a favorite shape until now that I keep stamping triangle after triangle, but a good old like right triangle. And I prefer a right triangle over an equilateral triangle. I think I'm also discovering that about myself right now. Laura says that's the fun part, talking. I love that. I always get more talking done than stamping. I may need to re-ink my lavender fields just because, oh no, that's actually good. I think we're okay. I thought I was going to have to double stamp that again. So it's just the small triangles that don't want to be purple right now. Sue likes circles. Amy says ovals. That's interesting because that's like a shape I never use. And I don't have anything against an oval, but I think it's not a go-to. Laura says a hexagon. Oh, Laura, that's a good one. I do definitely love a hexagon. Hexagons are great because you can get a lot of repeating patterns. So funny side story, and then I'll get back to your favorite shapes in the comments. But my 2-year-old just started soccer, and it's really hilarious because it's for 2 and 3-year-olds, and he's just newly 2. So he's also one of the youngest in the bunch. And like some of the kids are playing soccer, like they're kicking a ball and they have a direction that they can kick it in. And then you have others like my son who like, he's not kicking it at all. And he's kind of just running around aimlessly. And then there are kids who are like crying off in the sidelines, and then someone else who's picking flowers, and it's hilarious. But one thing that I noticed is looking at the soccer ball is not just created from hexagons, it's hexagons and pentagons. Like that was just kind of eye-opening to me because I think whenever I looked at a soccer ball, I just assumed that they were all 6-sided shapes, but they're not. Now this is his soccer ball, and it's like a, what is it called? Like Tiny Tykes or something. It's like a little kid soccer league. But is that true for like regulation soccer balls too? Have they always had pentagons and hexagons? Like, interesting. All right, so let's look at your others. Judy says an octagon. I guess I lean towards an octagon a lot. That's great. Yeah, so we're all learning about ourselves today, you guys. Maybe no one's asked you your favorite shape before, and now you really get to make some conclusions about shapes that you love. Here I am with the grand old triangle. Kristen likes diamonds, the girl's best friend. That's so cute. Yeah, diamonds are great. I love you can create lots of different patterns and prints with a diamond. Michelle loves circles. They remind you of donuts. AG or Ago Liver. I'm assuming it's AG Oliver, not Ago Liver. Loves arches, and Linda also likes arches and rectangles. Okay, let's complete this. I think I need some more pink, maybe over here and up here. I love a good coral berry. Love it, love it. Kim says, I'll have to look at my grandson's soccer balls now. Yes, I'm sure a simple Google search, I could also find the answer, but you know, I haven't thought about it since he had his soccer practice, but it was just so funny. Like when I had some time to look at the ball, I was, wow, hexagons and pentagons. Okay, and maybe some pink up here we need. Let's go this way. All right, so now as I am getting closer to needing to wrap this up, I always like telling you guys that we've got a bit of a cliffhanger today because this will not be finished. I think the background I'll be able to finish in time, but the card itself will not be done. I'm going to be thinking of other ways to bring some shapes in. I'm loving the idea of doing the enamel dots. Ever since I organized my crafting space and have the enamel dots no longer in a bin, they're like behind me. I'll show you guys when I flip back to my front screen, but my front camera, but they are like on a pegboard. It's so much easier to find the colors that I need. So I think I might take some of these matching colors and add some circles to some of my triangles just for some extra texture. And then I'll put maybe a die cut sentiment on. Oh my gosh, I just touched the pink and made some pink right here where I didn't want it. Eek. Okay. That's what I get for talking with my hands. I'm Italian. What can I say? I talk with my hands. But yeah, I'm thinking of adding some enamel dots, adding a die cut sentiment, probably black and white or black, just something really impactful, something large. And then I can't wait to see anything that you guys create. If you do play along, please share with the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. That is going to be the best way for me to be able to find it if it's using the hashtag and it's posted publicly. You can also post in the Altenew fan group, again, using the hashtag. That is a Facebook group that a lot of you I know are in. Alana says, I need to think about the shapes. Never thought about it before. I know, I haven't thought about it before either. It's just, as I'm doing these triangles, it just feels right, you know? I like the versatility of a triangle. And I think this is my pattern. So the reason why I ended up, as I brushed my hands around, is part of the pink that went over the edge. It didn't get a chance to dry. Because remember, these fresh inks are dye inks, which means they are water-based. And this sticky mat has a sticky coating on it. So it's not going to dry on that sticky coating. And when my fingers went down and touched it, that's when I got a smudge. So this might be a great place for me to pop a sentiment or an enamel dot or something. I will troubleshoot that later, but this is cool. And yes, this is feeling 90s to me. This is feeling a little like Saved by the Bell moment. Thank you, Mitzi. Mitzi's behind the badge today and says it looks good. Now I'm just wiping this up and it's still sticky. Okay, I do have a little bit of color there, but don't fret about that. This does not change how the effectiveness of this slim grip sticky mat is. Okay, a well-loved tool is usually an inky tool, right? Ink stained. So put the plastic back on top and then I will turn off the what's this called? The light box? Is it a light box? A tracing box. So that's how I was able to see the lines through, and that's how I was able to keep all of my stamping straight. Okay, so here's the background. And yeah, we've got a cliffhanger because you guys are going to have to return next Tuesday to not only see this final project, but you are also going to get to see the winner, whoever it is that also created something with geometric shapes. Geometric Genius is the theme. You must use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. Let me flip my camera back up. Oh, that's the wrong thing. You can see my fabric collection. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Wrong one. Okay. It's not flipping my camera. There we go. Is this the one? There it is. Okay. So I did say I would show you where I'm stashing my enamel dots, but yeah, that was funny. That's all my fabric and it's not completely organized. Some of it's organized. Let me show you up here. Yep. Behind me, you won't be able to see all of them, but I have all my enamel dots organized by color family and they're all up there. So I definitely want to pop some coordinating enamel dots onto here. This is all we did today. So don't feel bad if you get into your crafting space and you don't get a lot done in your crafting session because, you know, you're chatting like I did or you have interruptions. It's fine. I could submit this. So I want to always remind you, you can submit a work in progress. Just take a picture. Say, hey, I'm not done with this yet. I'm working on it. But here's my geometric background I chose to make. I used some stamps from Simple Shapes. I use the following ink colors. And this is my submission. Hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, right? You can win. Guys, I'm not like trying to only pick the card that belongs in a museum or the scrapbook layout that should be on the cover of a magazine. I want to see you get out of your creative crafting like comfort zone. I want to see you find time for yourself and this hobby that you love. Submitting a work in progress is absolutely fine. Not enough of you do it. I think over the time that I've been doing this challenge, maybe 5 people have submitted a work in progress. Don't feel like you have to have something finished, polished, ready to go in order to submit it. Having anything that fulfills the challenge theme shows me that you took that time for yourself, shows me that you took that time to try something new. Kristen is asking, when does it need to be posted? You said, when does the card need to be posted? It doesn't have to be a card. A card is perfect. I am always making cards. I'm a card maker, but whatever your project happens to be. If you submit it by Monday evening, it will definitely be considered as a winner. Tuesday submissions, I also accept Tuesday submissions, but it really depends on when I'm able to view them, because I do teach during the day. So during my lunch break, if you ever get comments from me during my lunch break on a Tuesday, you know that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I will leave comments. I will check them out. Sometimes if I see them right before I go live, let's say you submitted like 2 hours before the next challenge goes live, you might not get a comment from me, but I will try to look at it. The thing I'm saying is I can't guarantee it if you submit on Tuesday just because of my schedule, but I do often catch those last minute Tuesday submissions. Okay, so you can send those in. And then, yeah, thank you to Mitzi for being behind the Altenew badge. Thank you to those of you who shared while we're live. It's such an easy way to get a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And then the other way is by playing along and use that hashtag, and we will also consider you for a prize. I'm sorry, I just keep talking. We're already over time and I'm gabbing on and on. So I'm looking forward to finishing up my card. I'm looking forward to seeing anything that you guys have created. And that just about does it for me. I hope all of you out there have an amazing and crafty day. Bye-bye.